Hopefully, the response to this one from critics and audiences alike encourages the studios to put comedies back into theaters. This has done very well for itself in just a few short weeks of release, but as the cycle of things is now, you can also get this on demand at home already. Let's talk about One of Them Days. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for One of Them Days. This features Keke Palmer and SZA, and it is a caper sort of comedy, a buddy comedy certainly, and it has done very well in just a few weeks of theatrical release. It was made for about $14 million, and it has earned over $40 million at the box office. So hopefully that is encouraging for studios to see that people still like going to the movies for comedies. I know that a lot of the recent streaming comedies, I think, would have been maybe better received in a room full of people laughing. And unfortunately, we only tend to get a couple of these every year now. But, January is a nice testing ground to throw a comedy on. Last year, it worked well for Mean Girls. They did the musical version of that, which was supposed to be a Paramount Plus original, and then they decided to put it in theaters. So hopefully the response to One of Them Days is encouraging to them. But anyway, we'll get into this specific movie here momentarily. First, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are one of my Dan Reviews It subscribers already, thank you so much for that. Love having you return and checking out my videos. But if you're not, please consider subscribing. Click that notification bell, too, so you get the alerts for all my drops. You can just like this video or comment below, too. That stuff, of course, helps the channel out tremendously as well. So this was directed by Lawrence Lamont, who I'm unfamiliar with, but the screenplay is from Syreeta Singleton, who the only other Singleton I know in the movie business is John Singleton, but she seems to be no relation. But she happened to meet Issa Rae at some sort of conference or whatever, and the two of them struck up a friendship and a working partnership, and she's worked on a couple of the Issa Rae shows, and Issa Rae is one of the producers of this. So it definitely has that kind of flavor to it if you like things like Insecure. This might be up your alley, but this features Keke Palmer and SZA as childhood friends and now roommates that are struggling to make ends meet. SZA, who plays Alyssa, her boyfriend ends up, instead of giving the rent money to the landlord, ends up taking it and using it for some other nefarious things that we won't get into because it's kind of a good reveal. But as a result, the landlord is going to kick them out by the end of the day if they don't come up with this rent money. So this movie becomes a caper movie where they are trying anything they can think of to get their hands on this money that they need. And different people that they meet and enter the picture and exit, but sometimes resurface, and it's a day in the life of these gals. You also have Cat Williams here as Lucky, who is this dude who is outside the credit, the loan place, urging them to reconsider and everything. You have other people with minor roles like Laura Howery, Gabrielle Dennis, Janelle James from Abbott Elementary. She's here in a couple of scenes as well. And you also have Maude Apatow, who is one of Judd Apatow's kids. She has appeared along with her sister in some of his movies, but she's been striking out solo lately and has been in a few TV shows and movies recently. But she appears as a white gal that the landlord has brought in to diversify the community a little bit, and most of the people that live there are not having that, but SZA and Keke Palmer want to, make her feel welcome and sort of are entertaining her for a little bit in the hopes that maybe she can help them financially as well if they kind of get to know each other a little bit. But that's all I'll say, I think, for the plot. So, Keke Palmer, look, I've loved her since she was a girl. In fact, after this movie, I rewatched Akeelah and the Bee, one of my favorites from the last 20 years. And that is certainly the first time I saw her. I'm not sure if that's her first movie, but she was probably, 11 in that. And, of course, we followed her career very closely. Since then, from kid movies to more intense dramas, hosting game shows. She does Password, which I think she won an Emmy for the game show. And then you have SZA, who I was familiar with her music a little bit. I mean, not hugely, but I knew some of the songs. Obviously, she's got some big radio hits. But didn't really know much about her acting chops, her comedic chops. But then she hosted SNL in the fall. I think it was this season, and she did a great job. So the two of them as a pair are believable as good friends. They get into these scrapes together and sort of come out of it, on the other end. And sometimes their friendship is tested, as movies like this usually go. But the two of them are a very competent comedy pair. So I'm curious to know if they have some sort of history in real life. They're certainly around the same age. I don't know if they've run in the same sort of Hollywood circles, but they definitely have some good on-screen chemistry here. Look, this movie maybe is not quite as funny as I would like it to have been. It certainly leans at times into the zaniness of it all, and I think the movie does best when it's sort of in that lane. Although I will say some of the emotional moments towards the end were really good too. So yeah, I was kind of surprised actually with how much I like this one, just because we don't get that many theatrical comedies anymore. Last year, or was it 2 years ago now, we had No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence, and then on the heels of that, we had Joyride, which was, both of those were a lot of fun. This one maybe doesn't quite measure up to those. I certainly wish it was a little funnier, but I have to say, I hope that the success of this encourages the studios to look closer at their comedy lineups. This has, I think, a 95% with critics on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not certainly quite that high, but I leave One of Them Days with a very solid B. And like I said, if you've missed it in theaters, it is now already available on demand for your home viewing. All right, thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It, and I'll see you next time.